Of the Jackson Board of Selectmen, September 10th. We start off at 3:30 by calling the regular meeting to order. And our first order of business is the approval of minutes. So we've got a couple of minutes here from our sets of minutes from our August 27th meeting. First up is the approval of the minutes from our public session of that meeting. And so, as you and I were both there, I will entertain a motion to approve the public meeting minutes from August 27th, 2019.
So moved.
Did you get a chance to skim through them?
I did,
or
yeah.
you see anything you felt needed to be changed or amended, edited in any way? Okay, well then, in that case, all those in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, very good.
Thank you.
And the second set of minutes is from the same date, August 27th, and that was a mandated non-public session of the meeting, and we came back into session after that and voted to seal the minutes. And so I will go ahead and have you initial those, and I'll do the same.
Thank you.
Excellent. I don't know what we had. We didn't have any action items. I don't think any of these meeting dates are new. I think we read them off at the last meeting, but I'll read them off again just in case it's helpful for anybody. Our next meeting is going to be Tuesday, September 24th at 3:30 p.m. right here in this room. And then both of our October meetings are also at 3:30 p.m. right here in this room, and they are scheduled to happen on October 8th and October 22nd. And then we have a building inspector's report. Do you know if Kevin will be here today?
I don't believe he will be.
Okay.
But he did tell me what he found about the electricity at the gazebo.
Yeah.
Apparently it wasn't, there's no issue with the power. It's the lights that were the problem, that they were,
Tripping the breaker?
yeah.
Well, tripping the
Not-
GFI.
Yeah,
Okay.
And that's always been a problem there. You gotta have a GFI on it, and they think it was tripping the GFI, not necessarily the breaker.
Okay.
so.
When you have outside lights with moisture, GFIs and moisture don't get along.
Okay. You know, I was wondering about that after the meeting, and when they took the picture of that breaker box, if there was possibly an issue with the string, but it's something that's not involved with the breaker box or the amount of power they're getting.
Mm-mm.
So, we know. No, we don't. Well, great. You'll have to pass along to Kevin our thanks for looking into that electricity issue at the gazebo, and it's nice to know everything is running as it was designed and constructed.
Did he have any comments on what to do to make it more protected so people can't unplug it or anything like that? Was he going to look into that as far as securing it anymore?
I didn't say anything about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know if we were going to address that part or not.
I mean, they could put a lock on it maybe, and then everybody would get a key, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how to secure that.
Yeah. It was just one of the concerns I know about
Yeah.
unplugging the lights
Right.
and stuff. Okay, we can talk about that maybe at a different time.
Do you have any thoughts on that, Jay? Way to secure that? I mean, one of the things that they were bringing to our attention was that people were unplugging them and vandalizing the string because they
Cutting,
for
yeah.
whatever their
I
reasons
think it was
were.
a very specific individual,
Yeah.
Oh,
I
okay.
think.
Did you go beat him up or something?
No.
Move
No,
that
the
camera
way it
over
was-
to
Nice.
Jay right now. would you?
The way it was explained, it sounded like somebody had a issue with
Garage.
something.
Or something.
That tree, that big tree definitely needs to get figured out in the future.
Okay.
As we discussed it many years ago, that it was an issue being too big.
Yeah.
Well, is that the issue then? Should we address that as an issue?
I think
So that
it's-
comes before the board and let's have a conversation about what to do about it?
I think someday, I know me and Pat had a little bit of a discussion about it, as he was asking some questions about, talking about it or whatever, and some point, I think, if they think they're gonna decorate it, it's pretty difficult to decorate.
It's gotten too big to decorate. Is it a healthy tree?
I haven't had a chance to look at it. I heard some comments that looks like it's starting to die, but I haven't looked at it.
Well, that was kind of mentioned in passing at our last meeting.
And it's not that you can't decorate it, it's who you get to do it
Right.
safely. And I mean, this goes back to conversation we had 6 years ago about it.
Yeah. It's not the
It,
first time.
it's not that it can't be done, it's just expensive, dangerous, who you get to do it, maintaining it.
Well, getting back to the health of the tree, is there somebody that would be qualified to give us a sense?
Probably see Dr. Eastern Green.
Yeah. Hank, if you want to split the difference, just shine that right at Jerry. And that'll be probably the best.
Didn't the highway always decorate it?
Highway did up until it got so big that they couldn't.
Yeah.
I
Can't
know,
do too much anyways.
I know,
Right.
the last couple of years I was there, the chamber took it over.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right.
And then there was a bunch of years when they didn't do anything with it.
Well, if it's a health issue.
You can't reach it, you can't reach the
Yeah,
top
right.
without a bucket truck.
Right. What do you think we should do with it, Pete? Okay, that's on record. Okay, excellent. Well, if there's something that needs to be done before the winter, if with that tree, if it's, if there is an issue with the health of the tree or the life of the tree, or it would, be nice for us to kind of like have that conversation to the point where we feel like we can make a decision about what to do and then give the directive. So give it a thought next time you talk to Pat or whoever your arborist of record
Yeah.
is on the fire department.
Yeah.
What's that?
Don Johnson could look at it for us.
Yeah. Yeah, you want to reach out and
Yep.
then you'll have an action item.
Okay.
That's exciting. Thank you. All right, anything else on the electricity
No.
tree? Okay, so the building permits here, and I'll just read through them so we know what the permits are that he's passed along to us this week. Here's a permit issued to John and Janet McMahon at Old Jackson Road. And this is an extension of an original building permit application. The contractor's J.W. Mack Home Improvements, and they're building a new single-family home. 28 by 36, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage attached. And again, that's on Old Jackson Road. And that's map R12, lot 118. Up next is building permit issued to Ian Torney, Pine Brook Road, and this is map R12, lot 153. Contractor's Dennis Landry, and he's adding a deck to the back of the house. Next up is for Levine Capital Management, and apparently this is units 1 through 10 on 10 Glen Drive, up map R4, lot 7. New metal roof is going on. I don't know why it says units 1 through 10 at the top, if it's just one new metal roof going on, but that's what we've got.
Yeah, there's 10 units, like 4
You
units
never
in
know.
each one, so we just consolidated. They have to be entered individually, but we just put it all together.
So the new metal roof's going on all 10 units?
All 10 units,
Okay,
yeah.
thank you. And then we've got one here, building permit issued to Diana Handy, Francis Avenue. And this is for demoing an 18 by 18 shed. So that's map R18, lot 35. We've got a building permit issued here, same person, same lot, and this is a new 18 by 18 shed that is going to be constructed in its place in the existing footprint. Map R31, Lot 5, permit issued to Trevor Limmer, and they are going to put a 10 by 15 foot porch on the north side of the house at map R31, Lot 5. And so maybe that's why Kevin couldn't make it today. He's been pretty busy with all these building
Right.
permits. So those are on record. Any mention of any of those that you want to bring up?
Nope.
They seem pretty straightforward to
Straightforward,
you.
yeah.
Zero right into new business then. School bus parking, this ended up as a new agenda, new business item on the agenda, based on a conversation we had last week with Jerry here as addressing it from the school board perspective and in general. Let me know if I got this wrong, but you've got, a bus driver in the past that had the bus at home, and that's not able to continue to happen, so we need to find a place to have it and have it plugged in. Is that accurate?
I believe so, but Jay, I notice there's only one bus that's parking here. Do you know?
I don't know where he's been parking it, where it's been this summer. But it's just the second, 2 in the winter.
Yeah, so if it's going to be the case that we do have two that need to find a place to park, then, in discussions with Jay and Pat, we're thinking about the side lot for the library down there, if it's going to be available or not. But let me check in with the bus drivers and see what they're doing with, because I notice there's only one here that's been here, so I don't know whether it's being brought somewhere else or.
Right.
I think last I knew, they were still, talked to Lou the other week or so ago, and she said that they were planning on parking over here once they needed to park 2 buses, I guess.
Who told you that?
Lou, the bus driver.
Bus driver, so.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming whatever reason they're here lately is a temporary thing.
So if it's not objectionable to you, then we'd, I guess, like to look into using that lot and getting power over to it. So the question is going to be, how do we get the power there? Really meaning who's going to pay for it?
Yeah.
So.
The power is the issue, and I think that the chief was at the last meeting, and he might have brought up something about that lot is not like zoned for overnight parking. Maybe we can just make sure it's the right place to be, or the ordinance doesn't permit overnight parking in there. I think we can overcome that if that's the right place to do it.
I think you have the authority to address that, I think, so.
Do you have the authority?
I believe so, yeah, as far as being able to designate a public parking area, maybe designated as something else, I'm not sure, but we might need to look into that too, so.
And I don't know, and Jay, I don't know if you know, but those lights go down to the parking lot, so there's power that far, and so is that power we can?
Wouldn't be able
If
to,
you could that'd be a question for Dick, because
Yeah.
Dick's the one that did the lamps. And I know Dick's done a bunch at the library, so he'd know.
Yeah.
Kevin was under the understanding that we'd have to have 2 different circuits for each bus. So we'd have to run new line over there. So the question then would become, the existing conduit, can you pull 2 more lines through it? And where would they hook up? And then if they can't pull 2 lines through it, then digging a trench and putting in a new wire for it. So let me check with the bus drivers and confirm that they're going to need a spot for 2 buses. And if that's the case, then figuring out if it's okay to use the parking lot, and then how that gets facilitated, and then if that's going to work, then let's figure out how to get power there.
Yeah.
And then if all those things line up, then we'll figure out who's going to pay for it, out of what budget. I mean, I don't know that we have a whole lot in our budget for it, but
I think we can figure that out, like you say. I think that, and I don't know, has this been brought up to the library trustees or to Lycan or anybody like that? I think that would be probably a next step, that we should at least get them in the communication loop to let them know that we've got at least one school bus that doesn't have a home.
Is that the only option at this point, or are there other?
Well, so Jay and Pat and I got together and talked about it, and, we looked at a few options, and, we discussed the Gray's Inn building, but that becomes really hard to get out of when it's icy and snowy. We talked about the possibility of using the area right behind the parking lot here.
They used to park the bus there, that's what that post, there was a light post right there, and that's where they always plug the bus in. It's going back.
So then it becomes a matter
15 years, but-
of do we put gravel down there to make it more stable for the bus, and how much does that cost? And then the issue of snow removal also comes up. And when we talked about all of those things, the best option that the three of us thought of anyway was the side parking lot over there. And it was also kind of commented that the parking lot doesn't really get a whole lot of use except for when there's events going on. And then when there's events going on in town, if we need to park the buses somewhere else, and we can figure that out on those particular days. But outside of those particular days, the lots doesn't really have much use. In fact, I mean, they use it for a spare place to put rocks and gravel and sand sometimes. So I mean, it's not currently being utilized to a great extent. So as far as snow removal, in and out with the bus, that seemed like it was going to be the best option. Only issue being how do we get power to there?
Yeah, Is
the snow removal wouldn't be an issue there?
No, and that's, I mean, like with, that's kind of what Pat had come up with as why that would be the most ideal place.
Yeah.
Right behind here, also not that big a deal as far as snow removal goes, but on days when there's a lot of snow being moved around and there isn't school, that's the most convenient place for it. On days when there's just a little bit of snow, and it's also the easiest place to get in and out of as far as snow is concerned. So that's kind of how that we had come up with that spot.
If there's that much more snow than in school, probably a late start anyway.
Right.
How often is the bus parked at a particular spot? Is it just outside of school areas and weekend, or school hours and weekends?
No, so it would be during school hours, from in between morning pickup and drop off. Then there's the gap in between that and the afternoon run is when it would be parked.
And then it would park for the evening?
And then it would park for the evening there as well. So.
Who is our contact on the library board of trustees, or do
Well,
we?
the chair now is Denise.
Okay. Can we get out some communication to her before next meeting and let her know we've, got a school bus issue and that parking issue for the winter, and the selectmen are considering, parking it back there, and since it's close to their building, just wanted to keep them in the loop, and certainly offer to hear from them if they have anything they want to add to the discussion.
Okay, do you know already what the selectman authority is on changing that space, or do I have to contact New Hampshire Municipal?
I'd contact New Hampshire Municipal about it. I'm pretty sure they have the authority to designate parking areas. That's town property anyway, for sure, and I think also on town roads as well.
Okay.
So you're saying that's not zoned a parking area?
That spot, I mean, that's why I'm not sure how it's zoned and what the town officially designates it as. Is it officially designated as public parking?
I think it is, and so that may have not been a poor choice of words, but I think that the chief mentioned that it was also subject to the no overnight parking.
Yes.
ban.
Yeah.
So would that be?
The winter parking ban.
I don't know if he's conflating that with the state road though, as well.
I think the municipal association.
Yeah, they'll clarify that pretty quickly for you, I'm sure, but I don't think it would be an issue. It would come under your authority because it's town land, it's public parking for the town,
Right.
not the state. It's not a state road like the public ban would here. I think on your other parking areas in town are designated probably no overnighted parking, where there is town parking, like up on off of Dundee there at the end of Carter Notch Road, and those areas that are all considered public parking by the town. They are subject to the winter parking ban, so it might just be that your public parking for the town is subject to a winter parking ban everywhere. If there is, you might just need to designate a certain area as not having that, or allow an exception for the bus, I'm not sure, but
Yeah.
municipal association will clarify, I'm sure, so.
Yeah, and depending on the answer you get, are there steps we need to take and all that, so that'd be great. And so if we move that down to old business, maybe we'll have those answers and be prepared to discuss it at the next meeting?
Yeah.
Great. So thanks for the three of you for kind of getting together and having that conversation and looking at locations and coming up with a recommendation. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Fire Station Building Committee, update?
I don't know if you've received appointments, but I think what we'll probably do, since we haven't had any meetings, is move that to the next meeting agenda, if that's okay with you.
Madam Mayor.
Yeah,
I'll entertain a motion to table that then to the next meeting.
I will second that.
No, you make it.
Oh, I thought you said I will
No,
make a
I will
motion.
entertain.
I will make a motion to move that to the agenda for the next meeting.
Great, I'll second that. And all those in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, they frown on the chairperson doing
I
that.
know, I thought you
Some
said
weird
only.
reason,
Oh,
but,
follow the rules.
so next up, we've got,
Barbara, do you want me to go over any fire department update now, or
oh, you have some? Yeah, I'm sorry.
Doesn't have to do with the building.
normal stuff throughout the summer? Should be in, So, place of assembly permit inspections, which are normal inspections we do all the time. They're on schedule, ongoing, have been all summer. Tent inspections have been way down this year. Way down. Weddings are down. I heard something about, from one of the innkeepers, that everybody's holding off on weddings because 2020 sounds cooler than 2019, I guess. So I don't know if that's fully the reason why, but
I talked to Christmas Farm and somebody from there, and they said that they're already booked. They booked more in 2020 than they
Yeah.
had in like 19.
so our tent inspections were
Yeah.
way down. We did some fire pond repairs, minor up to Valley Crossroad Fire Pond, between Highway and me. We fixed the outlet issue, so that got done. Calls of service for us have been way down, slow, which is good, except for we had a string of fatal motorcycle accidents there, 2 or 3 in a row, so other than that, everything's been slow. And we had one really bad car accident in Pinkham Notch, so Pinkham has been a little busy this year for us.
That was one with the airlift.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, all of them involved possibly getting a helicopter, but we're just far enough north where that it's hard to get one actually in town. Usually you get them out and get them to the hospital and meet the helicopter there. We do some radio maintenance. One of the Tyrol radios got hit with lightning in that one lightning spell we had. So we had a radio issue. So we had to, I think it's $1,500 or something like that in repairs. Gear's been purchased for this year's normal gear purchase we do, so that's coming. If we go back into the spring, flood season went really well, no issues in town or even out of town. Budget this year, gear purchase is coming. We bought SCBA breathing air bottles. That was like $2,700 worth of bottles. Batteries on Tyrol, we gotta be this fall replacing the batteries, which is a 5-year deal where we replace the batteries on the radio tower on top of Tyrol. Equipment and trucks have held up great. No breakdowns there. We're still trying to work on some fundraising for Jaws of Life replacement for the future.
How old is the one you have?
What's that?
How old is the one you have?
95. 95 they were purchased.
Is it technologically different now, or is it?
Yeah, we're gonna keep what we got, and then we got a portable unit that we've always had trouble with anyway. We're gonna get rid of that, keep the main power unit, and then replace the portable with 2 cordless units, which work really well, fast. It's like probably 25 grand for two cutters and spreaders. So we're hoping to maybe fundraise for some of that, and then we'll see how that goes.
Anytime you want to post something for a fundraiser, stop at the store and ask to put it up. We'll be more than happy
Okay.
to put it up.
The only other items, some point, probably better to discuss it when John's here, when we got some time, but we gotta look at some code stuff with existing driveways and fire access. Kevin and I are finding when he's doing his building inspections or people are applying for building permits that we're running into a lot of existing driveways that don't necessarily meet fire access perfectly. And I've always kind of, in existing situation, we try to deal with it the best we can and grandfather what we can grandfather. Kind of depends on when it was installed, what was the regulation at the time. But we're seeing more and more people rebuilding places that have been in existence or building on Class 6 roads, things like that. We got involved with Burr on one, and so we got to kind of basically wondering how you guys think we should be handling existing situations that have been there for either a long time or a while, back in the 80s or something when nobody enforced anything, type of thing.
As far as having them up to current?
Mostly it's just, mostly it's the steepness of them. A lot of them, there's not really a lot you can do. You know, there's plenty of driveways that you just can't make it less steep. So that's gonna be a topic of discussion, I think, at some point, more further.
Well,
Basically how grandfathering works in the fire code side of things, not talking about zoning, but the fire code, we really don't, grandfathering isn't even a term that we use. It's either the code or not the code. But that's mostly on the life safety stuff, really life safety, like an egress window or smoke detector, like that. You could have a house built in 1785. If it doesn't have smoke detectors, you have to put them in. That's a life safety item. When you get into fire access, which is driveways, turnarounds, accessing the property, that's not really as much of a life safety thing. So the code allows the authority having jurisdiction to be able to judge and say, okay, it's supposed to be 15%, but it's existing and it's 17%. And as far as fire code is concerned, you can make that determination. So that's kind of what I've always done anyway, is existing stuff, as I think me and you talked about in the past on highway stuff, was, existing driveways that had been there, existing roads, so you go back and make them, change things that aren't right to code or not. So, but the primary point is me and Kevin are running into this more and more and more as we go through the years.
Is this something the planning board would be involved in or be able to give any insight on?
Yeah, I guess you could.
There's a meeting Thursday, I'm just wondering if you want, I'll be there, but
Yeah.
I'll run it by them and see if that's something that they want to assist with or get involved in.
Now that they're working on the zoning ordinance, right?
Yeah.
Would that be something?
Yeah, there's some
Yeah.
wording in the zoning that's, me and Barb talked a little bit about. There's some wording in there, but it's still, I mean, somebody's had a driveway since the 1950s. You know, now all of a sudden you're gonna tell them that lot's not buildable?
Because they want to build something new on that
Either they
lot.
wanna build something
And it's
new, or they wanna
grandfathered
change
to
something,
build.
or, you know, that's the tough part.
Right.
And then the other problem is, you know, I looked at some of these places, I looked at the code and what code was in place at that time, like in the 80s, for an example. In the code, there was a 12% grade was the limit. And it's like, well, okay, well, apparently whoever was in charge in those areas didn't just let it go, you know, the selectmen or the whoever let it go and didn't give people, you know, so it's like, how do you all of a sudden now say, so.
Yeah, I'm always a big fan of finding out how, you know, who's walked down this path before us. Are there other towns that have addressed this issue? And I wonder how, and I don't know if anybody's got contacts about what other towns in New Hampshire have done around driveways that don't.
I mean, we're definitely one of the steeper towns in the
Yeah,
state, so
right.
it's hard to,
Right.
it's hard to,
And it's not necessarily the driveway entrance that's the issue that
Well,
you're
the
referring
road to
to,
get
but
to
it's
the
the
driveway,
steepness.
any
it's the grade.
part of it, yeah.
Yeah. So,
So, not really looking for an answer on it tonight,
Yeah.
just a topic that will probably come up again.
sure.
I'll find out from the planning board how that would, you know, if there's anything that would impact that.
Let's see. Yeah. Is that,
Okay.
yes, unless you guys have anything?
Any final
Nope,
questions or thoughts? Okay, great.
thanks, Jim.
Yep, thanks, Jay. Okay, well, now we're ready for the trustees of the trust funds withdrawal request. So I will entertain a motion to withdraw $19,035.90 from the State Aid Reconstruction Expendable Trust Fund 0058 to be paid out to Bryant Paving LLC. Date of invoice 8/28/19, and that's invoice 5267.
I will make a motion to do exactly what you just said.
And I'll
At
second that.
19,035.90 is correct.
Yeah, and I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Very good. A lot of paving going on this year, and it seems to be looking pretty good.
Yeah. Now we have to just watch the speed. Ooh, sorry.
Okay. Okay, so, next up is the topic of a liquor license request for the Thornhill Inn. And this was dated on September 4th, so,
Should be just because they're under new ownership,
Mm-hmm.
because I had to do,
oh, it's
I had
changing
to
over.
redo my place of assembly permit with them last week,
Okay.
and found out that it's under new ownership, or gonna be under new ownership.
Okay.
So my permit got redone, and in order to continue probably selling liquor, they need to
This is
redo.
the on-premise.
So that should be probably all it is.
Including the porch. Okay, so, does that require us to take action and sign? or-
I had to have it signed prior
It's just
to the
FYI.
meeting because they needed it expedited, so.
Okay, so we're
it's
just,
an FYI.
putting it on the
They
record.
did respond to they wrote a letter about the noise mitigation and followed all that.
Great.
Mhm.
Excellent. Thank you. And then next up is the Primex Contribution Assurance Program, and you kind of went over this with me briefly. Julie, you want to kind of
It's
give the
basically
recap?
just, if we want to participate in a program that basically locks us into a cap increase for the next through 2022.
Okay.
And we're currently in the program now. So this is just reading for the 3 years.
And there's no cost for it?
Correct.
It's just it makes sure that we don't have any increases up to the cap. Do we still negotiate the rates when they present them to us?
No, they base it all on what our numbers are, whether it's payroll for, I submit different numbers that they request, and then and based on workers' comp claims, they do a formula.
And this is just workers' comp or is it liability?
It's property liability as well.
And those cap amounts are for workers' comp, 10% is the maximum increase that we would incur, and then property liability, the cap amount is 9%, and that is through 2022, is what this
And I
document.
didn't ask you this before, but do you have the amounts of increase that we've had over the past 5 years that we were in this program?
We
or
haven't been with Primex for 5 years.
Oh.
What happened was, that's all right, you don't need to shine my face on there. We were with, what was it? It was LGC,
Mhm.
and they had to disband, so Primex was the alternative for the pool insurance. So we did interview with other people, but this was the best option. So that's the only one out there right now. We've done it for the past, I think, 3 years.
Mhm.
And I'd have to look back to what the
No problem.
increases
I'll
have been.
talk.
Last year we got a reduction, I think it was
Yeah, you
$8,000. We
said.
got a holiday
Mhm.
premium back, so, but I'd have to calculate exactly what.
No worries, I'll check with you on that later.
Well, I love the assurance that the caps give us when it comes time to build a budget, that's for sure. So,
I will make a motion to sign and approve the contribution assurance program for Primex.
I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Excellent. Just one spot on here. So I will go ahead and print and sign and date.
When is it our fiscal year? The insurance year is the same?
Okay. Excellent. Nothing under old business. And first of all, anything under new business that you brought in?
No?
Okay. I didn't bring any new business in.
I have one
Either.
comment that may be worth putting out there. People have asked me about the channel, well, it's now 1301, but the Valley Vision channel. I'm still getting calls on that. It's still not up and running. The holdup is through Spectrum, and I've been talking back and forth with them. There were some legal issues. I've asked if they could do an amendment to the contract so that we can have whatever it is we need in there. The person I've been working with is out until next week, so it's still being worked on.
Okay. And this is the second meeting in a row that's come up. Was it the last meeting or was it the one before that?
The one before.
Okay. So, great. Well, just keep checking, I guess. If you've got anything in the way of an update to report next meeting, let us know.
Okay.
I will say just it's that the housing coalition, Jackson Housing Opportunities Matter, has been looking at short-term rentals, and they're in the news a lot these days on how they change towns and what towns are doing, and they've been working with the planning board. I would imagine that'll be on your agenda again. I sent both Scott Badger and Betsy Harding an article that somebody found and pointed out to me in the Boston Globe about them reaching a settlement with Airbnb around regulating short-term rentals in Boston. And because it's just taken property right out of the market for people to rent year-round or people to own, and just change the whole complexion of neighborhoods. And so the agreement that they reached was that they were going to, Airbnb decided to accept, Boston's idea without any, without taking them to court, that they were going to require short-term rentals to be only on properties where year-round residents lived. So if you had something on your property where you lived year-round that you could put into a short-term rental market, then that was fine. But other than that, and it was designed to kind of control absentee landlords taking over properties sight unseen and just, posting them and having people come and go for exorbitant rates. And so I don't know what the coalition's going to do with that. I mean, I'm a member of that board, but I don't drive the issues. And I know, with Scott also on the planning board, that may come up at the next.
Yeah, he and David my husband David are actually working on that quite extensively, so. Yeah,
there are a lot of different ways to regulate it. I think that recognizing that property owners have rights is important, and I also think that when you're making decisions that are impacting the quality of life in neighborhoods and towns, then that's also something that we want to make sure we are able to, get some good solid regulation so that that's not happening. I mean, we've had people come to this meeting, I don't know when that was, a month ago or something, and talk about how it had impacted their road, and it's like the Wild West out there some days, it seems. And from a fire code perspective, if we've got 18 people crammed into a facility that...
Yeah, I mean, we've been looking at it, chasing it a little bit, keeping an eye on it. And the way I'm looking at it from the fire side is, I mean, I looked at 50 possible spots in town. And out of them 50, there might have been 2 that I felt weren't meeting the definition occupancy of 1 and 2 family dwelling from the fire code.
Right.
So luckily for Jackson, most of the houses that are being rented out are fairly safe.
Right.
Compared to some other towns that have a lot of different stuff going on. So I'm pretty confident we've got safe buildings that are being done. Now, if there's 1 or 2 out of 50 that you have an issue with, does that, from the fire code side of things, does that constitute an ordinance? A change? I kind of look at it like the fireworks ordinance. We're lucky if we get 1 complaint a year on fireworks.
Yeah.
So would you create an ordinance to outlaw fireworks in Jackson for 1 issue a year? I don't think so. From my side of it, on the fire side, I don't see a gigantic problem. I mean, no matter what you do, you're gonna find houses, places that don't have working smoke detectors. I mean, I'm not seeing from the fire side of things a gigantic issue.
Right. Well, at our last coalition meeting, I think we talked about the logic of having short-term rental owners at least register with the town and require those people to register with the town, so we know what those properties are and we know how they've been marketing, and we've been able to,
As an example, a lot of the towns in the Conways have had, I hear the fire chiefs complaining about, one of them is campfires. All these short-term rentals are, having illegal campfires all the time, we're going there all the time. I don't think we've had 1 illegal campfire all summer.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
I'm not seeing a gigantic problem here. I mean,
Well, it's the same logic for why we don't have a noise ordinance too. If it's not an issue, do we want to make it one? And so I trust the planning board's gonna take a good exhaustive look at it, and make some recommendations or propose some warrant articles, or there may be petition warrant articles from citizens, who knows, but it does seem to be an issue that's more and more in the news these days with communities that are impacted by them.
Really difficult to try to figure out what that ordinance should be.
Yeah.
I know I've thought about it. And then the other thing is enforcement.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be easy to enforce.
Well, we'll just on Kevin,
There you go.
so problem solved.
Problem solved.
No, you're right.
Because by the time,
Look, for sure.
you rent your house to somebody, unless you get detailed information on what they're gonna do, you don't know how many people that are in there, how many surprise visitors they have, or, so then by the time the complaint comes in, they're gone Sunday night.
Right. And who's accountable? But, yeah, that was just an FYI, but
We're gonna read that letter.
who knows? I do have one letter, and that's, I guess, under new business here. We were asked to read into the minutes a letter from Margie Furlong. She, in the letter, says to Julie's and the Selectmen, I'd personally like to thank Kevin Bennett for all the help he gave me in bringing electrical at our well on Red Barn Road up to code. I had no idea what to do, and he made it happen. We're very fortunate to have Kevin working for the town of Jackson. Signed off by Margie Furlong. So very, very nice of her to show her appreciation for the professionalism that is on display with Kevin most of the time. And he's doing his job, most if not all the time. So that's it for old business and new business and public comments. Any public comments? B, your hand up first.
Hearing Jay give his report, a few meetings back, you had said that maybe each department would come in once a month and give a report. And this is
We're
the
getting
first
them on a
time.
regular basis from
Yeah,
the
that's
police
what-
department and the highway department, so.
I try to do mine, not necessarily monthly, but quarterly is what I've always done. I'll try to do once in the summer, or early summer. I did miss spring, early summer, things got busy or whatever, and I didn't get here quite as soon as I normally would, but I try to do quarterly, because that's what we've always talked about.
Yeah.
They had suggested that. Also, on the new rules for plowing, if you destroy mailboxes or property, it's okay, according to rules.
I don't think that's a new rule.
Yeah, we don't have any new rules on plowing as far as what's in the right of way and how it's handled.
You sure?
Yeah.
I thought the new report.
That report's actually, that's not new. It's been out.
Been added.
No, that part wasn't changed.
Right, that's not the way it was interpreted by a lot of people.
Thank you. Kevin, was your hand up?
Yeah, I haven't been in a couple of months to this meeting, but the last time I was here, I asked what could be done to slow the traffic down in front of Flossie's, or even Main Street, and I was told that you guys would look into it. I'm here to find out what you looked into.
Okay, well, we can put that on an agenda and get a more detailed update with the chief if you like.
Because
but
I'll be honest,
the chief had ended up putting out there that it was not his sense that there was a lot of speeding going on. So,
but I guess my point, how would he know that if nobody ever sits down there?
But I have to tell you, I have seen a couple of times that I've been by in the morning, one of the police vehicles parked across the street from the bridge to see who's coming over the bridge, and then on this side of the bridge as well.
I've seen him on the other side of the bridge, I'll agree with that.
Yeah,
But
I have seen them on both sides.
because trust me, if you sit at my house, you know when the
Oh,
cop's
I
sitting
know,
outside.
and you can always.
Because the traffic's totally
Okay,
different.
As long as
One
they're
at a
there, it's
time.
gonna, and as long as they're there, it's going to slow down because they're sitting there. So again, getting a report from the chief to find out what they've come up with will be important, but I have noticed that they've been more visible around the bridge.
And I don't know what B's point was on having people like Jay showing up today to give his report. I don't see why we don't have every department here once a month to do the same thing that Jay just did.
Thank you for the comment, and I'll just remind you what I said to be is that they're all cycling through about once a month now. And,
Okay.
and on a regular
I haven't
basis.
been in a couple months, so I just wanted to...
Hold on, I got the floor.
Sorry.
That's the way the exchange works well.
Mhm.
I know that Pat's been in here within the last month, and I know the chief's been in here within the last month. Kevin comes in, typically he's at least here once a month, so thank you for your comment.
Okay.
Any other public comments? Okay, excellent. Hearing none, any,
I don't have anything, so I will make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second that.
Aye.
All those in favor, say aye, 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 aye.
aye.
Thank you. Thanks you all for coming. Appreciate
you.
the fact that you were able to attend. Did I sign this thing? Yeah, I did.